I've always loved that song. Despicable Me. Hey everyone, my name is Chris Kaspar, and I'm the founder of Techless, and we created a phone called Wisephone. It's a pure and simple phone. You can call and text, and it has a few basic tools, but there's no social media on it, no app store, and of course, no pornography. I looked at the speaker list and what everyone was talking about, and I realized that I'm the only person here that's not talking about sex. I'm talking about technology. But I would argue, not even argue, it's pretty obvious that technology and sexuality are completely enmeshed. I went to the Consumer Electronics Show this last year in Las Vegas, and it's the pinnacle of tech design innovation in the world right now. I walked 65 miles within 3 days just to meet the exhibitors. It's crazy. And at CES, Apple paid for this really expensive 14-story billboard at the entrance of the convention. And it says, what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. In case you didn't connect the dots, this is the Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas slogan, except it's the top tech company in the world today that publicly posted this. Pornhub.com today, by the time you woke up this morning to the time you wake up tomorrow, is going to throw up 2.2 billion ad impressions. One website, and that is exclusively on this device, on mobile alone. And even something as simple and innocent as an emoji, which is supposed to be fun, has been essentially a proverbial middle finger to God's design and is sowing seeds of chaos in our world today. Technology and sexuality are completely enmeshed. So to understand a little bit of the chaos that we're feeling today, we got to go back to the OGs, the original gangsters of tech innovators. Let's look at these guys. We got Cain and Abel. If you think about what they did, one of them invented farming. The other one invented livestock. These are pretty profound innovations in the world, okay? And they took the fruits of their labor and they presented them to the Lord, and God accepted one and he rejected the other. And if you wonder why and think about it, it had to do with their heart. One of them's heart was to serve the Lord and the other one wasn't. And so the heart of our creators of our technology matters. So then we follow this story a little bit further. Cain killed Abel. Cain got that mark on him. And next thing you know, he has this hole in his heart that was designed to be filled by God, and he didn't know what to do with it. He's going to start roaming the earth. And what was his solution? He had this brilliant idea to innovate the next most profound thing that the world has ever seen. He went and invented the idea of a city. He made the world's first city. And if you follow the history of what that city meant for the world, it brought the world to such a depraved place that God destroyed humanity and hit the reset button. This is the consequence of technologists whose hearts aren't here to serve the Lord. And so I don't need to stand here before you and quote any more statistics. You guys are on the front lines. You guys can imagine right now in your minds faces, thousands of faces for the people in this room, of people whose lives have been broken and they're just a hollow shell of who God created them to be because of the consequences of technology. And if you replay those faces in your mind and you take those same people and stick them in a world pre-internet, not all the stories would be different, but most of those stories would be profoundly different. So as I think of the story that motivates me, just a few months ago, 2:37 in the morning, my doorbell rang. Ding, 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 ding. Oh man, my heart is beating. What's going to happen? So I showed up at the door, and there were two police officers, and they said, Mr. Kaspar, have you given permission for a 14-year-old boy to drive your Tesla around? Of course I did. Long story short, a friend of our foster daughters, a 14-year-old boy, had taken my car on a joyride. And actually, I didn't even know this. We actually found out that he had stolen my iMac the day before, my work computer. And so the police officers gave me back my computer, and they said, we don't know what to do with this thing. You're the tech guy. We need evidence. Please give us what you can. So I had this project, okay? I got to scour what I can from this computer. He reset it, wiped my accounts, put on his accounts, and I figured out first that you can hack into an Apple computer without knowing someone's username and password. That was cool. But then I went on this journey here, okay? And the first thing I discovered is that first, he had done this multiple times. I found multiple videos of him post-midnight taking my car on joyrides. And yeah, it's kind of, I was like, okay, cool. And secondly, he had taken pictures of all the swag that he had stolen, like tons of stuff. He had a mountain of stuff that he had stolen before, and it was all name brand items. It was a curious thing I noted. And then after that, I found this audio clip that he had recorded of his mom yelling at him for a minute and a half, and every expletive you can imagine. And I just imagine that, I mean, breaks my heart to this day. And my heart shifted from being frustrated with the kid to just being broken for him. And then after I kind of scoured the photos, I dove into social media accounts, and it became obvious why he was doing what he was doing. He was taking these pictures and posting them to social and reaching out to influencers just so he could get an ounce of connection with these people. And this lie that he bought that caused him to do some pretty stupid stuff, it's an extreme example, but the truth is that we all buy into the same lie, actually. There's some words, I used to have an ad agency, so I know marketing, okay? And there's some words that big tech uses to sell this lie to us. They sell words like, oh, you can be connected to people, you can have your privacy, you need information or knowledge. Oh, wasn't that the lie that Satan sold to Eve to get her to bite into the apple? Knowledge? Convenience, connection, influence, engagement, all these things sound good. But at the end of the day, you have to ask what's driving it. And it's actually Silicon Valley venture capital firms. And capitalism isn't necessarily evil, but at the end of the day, when they're exploiting people and all they care about is money, something's broken. And so, I ask you to question your assumptions. Question the things that your ministry is built on. Ask some deeper questions here. If you think about it, Jesus changed the world. And he did that. The only technology he used, the only medium he used was the air between him and other people. He could have written down his message, and he didn't. He chose to forego that, and he trusted that God would do the rest, and he had a profound impact. And so sometimes less might be more. There's two industries in the world that use the phrase users to describe their customers. One is narcotics, and second is consumer technology. And not only do they create users that are addicted to their stuff, but they use those people. And not only do they create people that consume gluttonously this stuff, but they consume their users. It's a pretty dark space. And so at Techless, we've thought about it a little bit differently. If you think about ship captains and pilots, to this day, they still call the people on their plane souls. We have 100 souls on board. And they do that because they recognize the gravity of their responsibility that they have entrusted to them, and they recognize the perils of the world that are there and what could go wrong if they take advantage of that. And so at Techless, we do not call our people users. We call them souls at the board level because we recognize the gravity of the responsibility that's been entrusted to us, and we recognize the perils of the world around us. And so, I'm here today just to throw out this idea to think differently. I mean, when you close your eyes and imagine, think of the chaos that's occurred the last 10 years because of the strings the big tech's been pulling, and imagine 10 years from now where we're gonna be. It sounds a little bit like a pre-flood type world, eh? And my question to you is there a hope for a future? How do we ever get to the place to where maybe a kid could grow up without pornography as part of his life? Or maybe we can reset and have devices that empower our will instead of its will. So, Steve Jobs coined the phrase, think different. And I'm gonna say right now, nobody's thinking differently right now. We have all bought into homogenous assumptions of design philosophies that have been written by Satan. And so my question to you is, how can we think different, actually? Thank you.